We're back after the bye and ready to talk the Red River rivalry. Welcome to Gameday U, Oklahoma's only weekly pregame show on TV. I'm your host, Kaylee Jo Hommel, and I'm joined with Emily LaBeth, Aiden Tyler, and Britton Ross. But before we can get to talking the 120th edition of this historic matchup, we're going to take it back to 2 Saturdays ago. And look at these fans. They're so excited. I wonder how long that's going to last for. We're going to start here in the first, where true freshman Michael Hawkins Jr. takes matters into his own hands, or should I say legs, with a 48-yard touchdown run, 7-0 OU. The Tigers respond with 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, this being the latter of the 2 as Peyton Thorne throws a 48-yard touchdown pass. Now we're going to head into the fourth, and it's 21-10 Auburn, and Javonte Barnes rushes for 2 yards for the touchdown, but the Sooner magic really comes out here when Thorne throws the ball, and it's Oklahoma's Kip Lewis who intercepts it. And there he goes all the way to the house. Oklahoma takes its first win in the SEC, 27-21. Now this turnover was key to the win. This OU defense played arguably its worst football of the season in the first 3 quarters of this game. But even after a week off, the Sooners are tied for 4th in turnovers gained with 13 across 5 games.
And OU pulled off the win, but they were shooting themselves in the foot on both sides of the ball. Penalties were killing them. They had 10 penalties for 78 yards and gave Auburn a second chance at a field goal and at a closer range. They're lucky the Tigers missed both.
Let's talk about the unsung hero of this team, Luke Elzinga. The punter averaged over 47 yards per punt, including one for 57 yards. Elzinga has flipped the field all year for the Sooners, and the field position was crucial in the win.
Well, Michael Hawkins Jr. became the first true freshman in OU history to win his first career start on the road. He put it all on the line for the Sooners again, flipping, but this time getting into the end zone for a critical 2-point conversion, and he led OU with 69 rushing yards.
But a new week means a new opponent, and taking on this next rival while wearing the crimson and cream is new to some Sooners. For Norman native and tight end Jake Roberts, being excited for this matchup is more of an understatement.
I feel like I'm already getting butterflies about it, and growing up here, being a Sooner fan, it's what this means to everyone in the state of Oklahoma and in the state of Texas. I mean, it's a big deal to a lot of people, and to have the opportunity to compete in it, I'm over the moon. I can't wait. It's going to be a great opportunity.
How about we hear from a Texas native? Billy Bowman knows that explosive plays can gain momentum in this rivalry. J.J. Hester's 60-yard catch against Auburn is OU's longest scrimmage play this season. The offense has shown they have big play potential, which is needed for a big game.
A lot of momentum swings, it'll be here one time, here this time, half the crowd going crazy, other half the crowd going crazy when the other side is silent. There's a lot of noise going on the outside. You just got to focus on the next play. Like you said, it's going to be momentum swing. So if something happens bad, you can't go be down on it, because boom, something's good going to come right next. So yeah, it's going to be good.
Texas is the #1 team in the country for the first time since 2008. So perhaps Texas is back, but whether they're back or not, it's still a challenge for the Sooners. But Brent Venables says this game does not define an entire season.
Their success doesn't have anything to do with ours, and their lack of success doesn't have anything to do with ours. So we focus on us, the things that we can control. We compete on the field, once a season, and it's a big game, always is. But they're all big. Lose one of those other ones, and they all big.
This game just isn't like the rest of them. We've seen some classics in the Cotton Bowl recently, and whether this game is a blowout or a thrilling comeback, linebacker Kobe McKenzie knows the Sooners still have to keep their emotions in check.
It's okay to play with emotions. It's not okay to be emotional. I was told that a long, long time ago. Every game has emotions. You just gotta. This game is gonna be emotional at times. It just is. From both sides. And Coach V always tells us, there's gonna be times it's gonna be really good, and there's gonna be times it's gonna be really sloppy. So, just going out there and having fun.
Oklahoma has notched 782 rushing yards so far this season, but some Sooners will be rushing nearly 352,000 yards in just 3 days. Our Abby Williams has more on the run to the rivalry.
That's right, Kaylee. I'm tired just running in place here. Wednesday morning, I caught up with some of the midshipmen running all the way to Dallas. Stick with us to see how they do it.
fly to the game, others make the drive down I-35, but some Sooners use their own 2 legs to get to the Cotton Bowl. Game Day U reporter Abby Williams has more on the decades-old tradition with a very important carry-on.
Oh, sorry, I'm just getting ready for my 3-hour drive to Dallas. Well, some people are running the ball almost 200 miles. Wednesday morning, I caught up with some of the midshipmen responsible for eating the game ball all the way from Norman to the Cotton Bowl Stadium in Dallas. Take a look.
The principles and values you live by are stunning. We could not be more proud of you.
It's a tradition as true as the Red River rivalry itself. Every year since 1997, the OU ROTC runs the game ball nearly 200 miles from Norman to Dallas for the annual OU Texas game. And when hand-delivering a ball as important as this one,
this represents the first carry of the game. Nothing impacts a game more than turnover. So hold on to this ball tightly. It truly is an honor to stand alongside you as you compete and face and embrace the challenge that you have all the way to Dallas, Texas.
while some find the run daunting, the experience is like no other.
I think there's also a lot more like OU supporters on the way there because they're constantly seeing us every single year running by. And so really there is no heckling. If anything, it's a lot of support. I got like a story from like my freshman year, so 2 years ago. We were going and there was just a police officer right there. And then like we're running by and then next thing you hear him yell is like boomer through his microphone. It was just so awesome.
Now the ball is in their hands, literally.
I wish you well, Boomer Sooner. Good luck and God bless.
The run spans over 2 days from Wednesday morning to Friday afternoon, just in time for the Sooners game against Texas on Saturday. I just ran down the field, and it's a good thing that I'm not the one running the ball into Dallas, or they'd probably have to postpone the game. Reporting from Owen Field, Abby Williams, Game Day U.
Thanks, Abby. When it comes to SEC football, Paul Feinbaum is the guy. He's covered the conference for more than 40 years. While at SEC Media Days, Aiden, you talked one-on-one with him. Here's that story.
Welcome to SEC Media Days. I'm Aiden Tyler with the voice of the SEC, Paul Feinbaum. And Paul, you were in Norman for OU's Welcome to the SEC party. So how did you feel that was, and how do you think OU and Norman as a whole are ready for the SEC?
Well, first of all, I was thrilled to be there. I had a great time visiting with a lot of people, and I think OU is very much ready. I think it's one of the most SEC ready places I've ever been. I mean, OU feels to me like a Southeastern Conference team. I mean, they got the tradition, they've got the pedigree, and I'm not sure they have the team this year, but they will have it.
And the SEC is, more than likely the best conference in the entire land. What does Oklahoma and Texas, two teams that have so much history, two blue bloods, add to that conference to make it better?
Well, I think they add a great deal. The SEC has taken in a couple of new schools in 1992, and then again in 12 with Missouri and Texas A&M, but they've never added two like this. When I was walking in Norman, I think it was in late April, and I took a look at that trophy case of the national championships and the Heisman Trophy winners. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't remember it. And I'm like going, oh my goodness. I mean, I spent most of my career in Alabama, and it looks exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Paul, so much for your time. Reporting from SEC Media Days, I'm Aiden Tyler.
Thanks, Aiden. This past week marks the first time both Texas and Oklahoma have had a bye ahead of the rivalry game. When we return, we'll take a closer look at the opponent in burnt orange. Since 2010, the Sooners are 7-1 facing Texas while both teams were ranked. Oklahoma is this year's underdog, but anything is possible in a rivalry game. Our Abby Williams was at SEC Media Days this summer and has why this contest is so special.
Conferences realign, but rivalries stay the same. Behind me is the Dallas skyline, home of the Cotton Bowl Stadium, where the historic Red River Shootout takes place every year. Oklahoma and Texas moved to the SEC, but some things never change. I caught up with the guys in burnt orange to ask them how they felt about the historic matchup taking place in a new conference.
with rivalries like that, I mean, anything can happen, whether, we're ranked #1 in the country and OU's not ranked or vice versa. That's just one of those games where you got to come out and be on your game because, you're going to get the other team's best shot.
This is the most unique game for sure that I've ever been a part of. When you pull into the state fair and you start smelling those corn dogs and turkey legs and there's fans from both teams and then you get in those locker rooms and the locker rooms literally are 20 feet apart and you're staring at each team.
Definitely excited to go into this third one. We're all excited to get back right here in Dallas and square off again, so couldn't be more excited.
Every October, the Sooners and Longhorns meet right here in Dallas to determine who gets bragging rights and that coveted golden hat. Reporting from SEC Media Days in Dallas, I'm Abby Williams.
Thanks again, Abby. Now, before the shared bye week, Texas won their SEC opener against Mississippi State 35-13. This is the 7th ranked total offense for a reason. The Longhorns averaged 40 points per game.
And OU has only surpassed 40 points once this season. Let's talk about the points Texas's opponents average against them, only 7. And the young Sooner receivers need to watch out for Andrew Makuba, a Clemson transfer who Venables actually recruited.
Yeah, Emily, the Longhorn defense is legit. Out of 134 teams, they give up less passing yards than 132 of them. The Horns are only allowing 121 passing yards per game and only 1 passing TD all season. They're going to make life difficult for the true freshman, making just his 2nd start.
The Texas offense is ranked 29th in red zone offense, scoring on 25 of 27 red zone attempts with 24 touchdowns, and we all remember the Sooners' 4th quarter goal line stand from last year's Red River game, so we'll see how the Sooners D holds up today.
Well, over in the rest of the conference, I'll have my eyes on South Carolina at #7 Alabama. With Jalen Milroe and the Crimson Tide as the favorites, last week showed at any time, any place, anything can happen in college football.
Something must be in the SEC air, Kaylee Jo. 2 teams who have also been upset this season are facing each other, Ole Miss at LSU. LSU's the same ranking they were when they played the Rebels last year and got upset. Could be a revenge game for the Tigers.
And the Florida Gators travel to good old Rocky Top, Tennessee to chomp at the Volunteers, who just lost to unranked Arkansas. Former Sooner QB Josh Heupel's Vols have to respond against a Gators team who has now won 2 straight.
Well, now let's move over to the new heroes of college football, the Vanderbilt Commodores, fresh off a win over Alabama for their first ever win against an AP #1 team. I'm excited to see how they follow that up when they go into Lexington to face the Kentucky Wildcats.
Now, don't go anywhere because we will have more OU football when we come back. We'll break down who and what you need to watch for at the Cotton Bowl Stadium. There's a whole lot more to break down ahead of this year's Red River rivalry because this year it just means more. This marks the first meeting of the 2 rivals in the SEC, and when it comes to who or what to watch for, let me take you back to the Cotton Bowl in 2021. OU starting quarterback Spencer Rattler was benched for freshman Caleb Williams. Could we see this again, but in burnt orange? Steve Sarkisian said Monday he expects Quinn Ewers to return to the starting QB position. The Longhorn was replaced by Arch Manning after suffering an oblique injury during Week 3. Before this, Ewers had 691 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, and a 73.4% completion percentage. But if he starts to struggle, what will Sark do with a now proven Manning in his back pocket?
No matter who starts, Kaylee Jo, both QBs know how to turn the ball over. 2 picks apiece. OU needs to force turnovers today. They stopped Auburn on 4th down a couple times early, but they didn't capitalize on it. Very different from 2023, OU intercepted 2 passes and scored a touchdown against Texas in the first 5 minutes. However, none of Texas's opponents have scored off the Longhorns' 7 turnovers. And I mentioned momentum shifts earlier, especially in the Cotton Bowl. The Sooner offense needs to put themselves in a position to score after a big defensive play.
Well, that might be hard to do. The only QB the Sooners team has that has played in the Red River rivalry was Casey Thompson, and he played for Texas. Michael Hawkins Jr. becomes the first true freshman to start against Texas for the Sooners, and he has made a name for flipping into the end zone recently. Hawkins provides a spark in the running game that OU will need to beat Texas, given how stout the Longhorns are at stopping the passing attack. The last time a freshman appeared at QB for the Sooners against Texas, Kaylee Joe mentioned it. It was Caleb Williams. Sooner fans remember the spark he provided for that offense back in 2021.
Well, Aiden, for Hawkins to be able to do his thing, the Sooners have to be able to stay on the field. Look at these third down plays right here, both called back for penalties. OU only had 2 third down conversions versus Auburn on 11 attempts. That's an 18% conversion rate. On the season, the Sooners have only converted 18 out of 68 third down attempts, a 26% conversion rate for the Sooners, and that won't be good enough against teams like Texas who love to run the ball. The offense has to help the defense today by staying on the field.
Emily, Aiden, and Britton will be leaving, but you shouldn't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll have a new group of analysts ready to make some picks from some of the country's top games. Welcome back and say welcome to these new analysts on the set. I'm now joined by Hallie McPherson, Cam Williams, and Andrew West, and they're ready to make their Week 7 picks. Now, it's a top 3 showdown in Eugene. Can Dillon Gabriel and the Oregon Ducks fly past the Buckeyes and remain undefeated?
I don't know, Kaylee Joe. I think the Ducks may be falling from the sky in Oregon. Jeremiah Smith can't be guarded, and that Buckeyes defense is hard to get by. Ohio State is ranked number 2 above Oregon for a reason. Buckeyes all the way.
Hallie, the Buckeyes are in for a rude awakening in Eugene. The Ducks come into this Big Ten showdown 3-0 at home, and guess what, folks? The Dillon Gabriel to Evan Stewart connection will be in the Buckeye cornerback nightmares until Christmas. Give me the Ducks.
This week last year, Dillon Gabriel became a Red River legend. I see him cementing his legacy as a Duck against the Big Ten juggernaut. And as far as Will Howard goes, it's more like, Will, how are you the quarterback at Ohio State? Those Buckeyes are finna get cracked real quick. Give me the Ducks.
Well, we're going to keep it in the Big Ten. Lincoln Riley and his Trojans have fallen out of the top 25. Will they be able to rebound against the number 4 Nittany Lions?
There has been a trend of unranked teams beating top 25 teams lately, and I think Lincoln Riley is going to keep that trend alive. Miller Moss and Woody Marks will cook something up in the backfield and upset the Lions in Los Angeles.
Yeah, folks, Lincoln Riley might trust Miller Moss, but the tape last week shows that he was lost. The gritty 4th-ranked Nittany Lion defense will stifle USC into oblivion, and Drew Aller will make the game manager throws to seal the deal.
Man, I was high on the Trojans earlier in the year, but I should have known better because it's the same old thing that's been hurting them the last 2 years. Lincoln Riley, and honestly, I think his burnt brisket could manage a game better than he can. I'm taking the Nittany Lions to turn up the heat on Riley's seat.
It's back-to-back road games for the Rebels as they head into the Tigers' Den this weekend. Hallie, who is taking this SEC matchup? Number 9 Ole Miss or number 13 LSU?
The last time LSU lost to Ole Miss at home was back in 2008. Britney Spears had the nation's #1 song then. The Tigers have won 7 of their last 10 games against the Rebels, and they are not letting no hotty-toddy take the win on Bayou turf this weekend.
Hallie, don't you know that Dart in Death Valley means game over? I'm taking Jackson Dart and the high-powered Rebel offense to walk into the Bayou and tame the Tigers in dominating fashion, taking Brian Kelly back to the drawing board.
I want y'all to picture Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly in your heads and ask your heart who the better coach is. I guarantee you hear the sound of the Lane train coming down the tracks, and guess what? It's humming after a huge bounce-back win against South Carolina. Some say a Dart is going to find his way into those Tigers. I got Ole Miss.
Now down in Dallas, can Oklahoma pull off the upset against the #1 team in the country?
Let's be real here. The Longhorns have blown out their last 5 opponents. They're going to keep the first place throne while also turning the river a burnt orange. I am just looking forward to that State Fair hot dog after the game.
Yeah, I am too, but I hate to agree. I'm going to have to go with the Longhorns. Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, and Ryan Wingo make a top 5 receiving corps in college football. And both projected first-round pick Quinn Ewers and freshman sensation Arch Manning are both good enough to torch the Sooners.
Yeah, I don't care if it's Quinn, and I don't care if it's Arch. Quite honestly, I think Texas has a better chance if Sam Ehlinger was still lined up under center. The Longhorns haven't been battle-tested like Oklahoma has, so I hope y'all like covered wagons because Michael Hawkins is coming. I got the Sooners.
Well, Andrew, you're the only one in this room picking the Sooners. Thanks for watching Game Day U, where it just means more. For Hallie McPherson, Cam Williams, and Andrew West, I'm Kaylee Jo Hommel. We'll be back next week as the Sooners face the Gamecocks for the first time ever. Have a fun and safe game day.